Go ahead, verse 3.
And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with his brethren, for he said, lest peradventure mischief befall him.
See, now he got 12 sons. That make up the 12 tribes of Israel. Joseph is one. He gone. No, he in Egypt. So he got 11 left, and he said, look, I'm going to send y'all 10. I'm keeping the baby here, Joseph's younger brother. Joseph was next to the baby. But he kept Benjamin, too, because he didn't want nothing bad to happen to him. He already grieving over Joseph. He think Joseph dead. So he sent the 10 brothers, right? And they go into Egypt, verse 5.
And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan.
See, they was in the land of Canaan. But being there was a famine all over the countryside, everybody found out that Egypt was the only one had bread. And the only reason Egypt had bread, because the Lord gave Pharaoh a dream, and Joseph interpreted that dream for him. That's why he made Joseph rule. He said, sure, I got to let you run this time. But God had all that planned. See, so God prepared Egypt for the famine ahead of time where they saved up food. They were smart. They saved up food for the famine. But that was only because of Joseph. But the Lord, that showed the Lord was working it. So now, everybody coming to Egypt to buy corn, including Jacob's sons, his other sons. So they came to Egypt to buy, verse 6.
And Joseph was the governor over the land.
Now Joseph had been to jail. He got locked up for something he didn't do. But before long, God had him running the whole country. That's so all you got to do is be patient. God will send you through some hoops, but then he going to put you where he wants you at in the end. And that's what he did to Joseph. Joseph went through all that. Joseph didn't get discouraged or nothing. He kept being about God's business. And before long, next thing you know, God had him on top. He running the whole country. He come from prison now, running the whole country. You can read that in Psalm 105. We can't read all this in this time span because y'all would nod off and wake back up. He said, he's still talking. Man, what's going on? That's because we reading the Bible and talking. But go ahead. Verse 6, it said Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that did what?
That sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth.
See, just like in Genesis 37, Joseph had a dream. That's what made him mad. He had a dream and told him, and the dream showed that eventually they would have to bow down to him. Boy, they got upset. That's why they sold him. They said, okay, this dream a dream. We're going to see what happened with his dream when we get through with him. You know how we can be. So they if God is doing something, you can't change it or alter it or stop it.
That's right.
You can't do nothing with it. Just recognize. So that's why it's good to just wait and see. Because if it's true, it's going to happen. If it's not, you ain't got to worry about it. So now they did exactly what Joseph told them in the dream would happen. They come bowing down themselves before his face. But one thing about it, they don't know that that's Joseph. Now that's going to tell you something. Verse 7.
And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. He said unto them, whence come ye? And they said, from the land of Canaan to buy food.
See, now he talking to them directly. He talking to them directly in their face, but they don't recognize him. And he messing with them a little bit. He said, where y'all come from? He said, we come from Canaan to buy land. It said at verse 7, Joseph saw his brethren and he knew them. So he knew who they was, right? But he made himself strange to them like he didn't know them, and he talked rough to them. And other scripture tell you he talked to them through an interpreter. So my point in all of this is, how in the world they don't recognize Joseph? You know, if people, now we know for sure they in Egypt, the Egyptians are black. These are all artifacts that have been dug up out of different Egyptian tombs. And this Reader's Digest Bible will tell you that. That's where they come from, most of them. This one, King Tut and his wife, is everywhere. Everybody's seen that. But they black people, right? Artifacts, I'm talking about not some picture somebody painted or their imagination like Michelangelo. These are artifacts that was dug up out of Egyptian tombs. And they show you how they look, how the Egyptians look. We already saw that Egypt come from Ham, right? That Egypt is called the land of Ham in Psalm 105. And we know Ham is fathered the dark races. So now my thing is, if we know the Egyptians are black, How in the world Israel, that's down in Egypt with them, going to be white and they not going to recognize Joseph? He the only white cat down there. They go down there, they'd be feeling straight. If they white and they go down there and they see a white cat running among all these blacks, right? It's all, man, we in. We straight. That's our brother running thing. But it wasn't that way. And they would have picked up on Joseph if Joseph looked different from all the Egyptians, brothers and sisters. It's no way they wouldn't have took a good look at him. If they are white and all these Egyptians black around Joseph, which we know they are, they would have took a good look and said, well, what's this white cat? They would say, oh man, that's Joseph. They would have paid attention to him with it. But you don't pay attention if you just see a whole bunch of black people, do you? They didn't pay attention. They said they all look alike anyway, right? So they go to Egypt. I'm talking about how you not going to recognize your own brother if he among people that look totally different. But you won't pay no attention if they all look similar, right? And that's what happened. Joseph was black just like the Egyptians, so they didn't think nothing about it, did they? So they think he's just another Egyptian running things, and they talking to him, bowing down to him. But go ahead, verse 8.
And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew him not.
See, they didn't know him. But I'm telling you, if Joseph didn't look black like the Egyptians, they would have known him. They would have took a good look. They said, wait a minute. We got a white dude look like us running it. But no, they all black. And they didn't pay Joseph no more attention. But now, skip down to verse 23. Skip down to verse 23, because we're going to show you something else Joseph did to throw him off the trail. Go ahead.
And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter.
See, Joseph spake, he used an interpreter so he wouldn't know. They wouldn't know he spoke what they spoke. And another thing is, they was talking and they didn't realize Joseph could understand. See, they talking in their language. They think they hiding something from Joseph. And really, they was talking about Joseph because they had enough sense to realize a lot of times God will put stuff on you for stuff you done in the past. Y'all should know that, right?
That's right.
See, and that's what they were talking about. We just skipped over to save time. But Reuben was telling them, see, y'all know why all this come on us? Because I told y'all not to mess with what y'all did to y'all brother Joseph. Now, he's standing right in front of them. They don't even know it's him. But I told y'all when y'all did that years ago to Joseph, y'all was going to have to pay for that. His blood is required. They still think Joseph dead or whatever. But Reuben is talking about him. And that's why I said Joseph understood him. That's why he had a little sympathy for him, because at least they was remorseful for what they did. But Joseph's sitting there listening to him, and they don't know that he understands every word they saying because they think he's just a regular old Egyptian. But that show you Joseph looked like the Egyptians, brothers and sisters. And this is how the Egyptians look. Ain't no doubt about it. They Hamites. They come from Ham, the father of the dark races, but not all the dark races, because the Negroes come from somewhere else, right? Obviously, Israel come from somewhere else. Because I'm going to tell you, Israel is the ones called Negroes nowadays. But we're going to get to that. Now, go to Exodus 2. We're going to move it up to when it was time for God to send Moses to get them out of bondage. Because what happened, Joseph was running Egypt then. But when Joseph died, all the luxury that Israel had, well, first of all, once Joseph finally revealed himself to his brother, he said, look, I'm Joseph, y'all. You know, who y'all sold me here, but don't worry about it. I ain't going to hurt you. And I run things down here. I'm going to take care of y'all. We're going to call for my father, the old man. He going to come down here. And they did all that. So that's how all Israel, it wasn't number about 70 of them back then. That's how they all end up in Egypt behind what we just read. So they all in Egypt now. Then Jacob, the old man, died. Their father died. They were scared then. They said, now Joseph going to get us now because our father died. Joseph said, don't worry. I'm going to still take care of y'all. I wasn't just doing it because our father, because Joseph was a righteous man. So, but Jacob died. They went up and buried him in Canaan. Matter of fact, if you read Genesis 50, when they went up to bury Jacob in Canaan, a bunch of Egyptians went and the Israelites went and the Canaanites saw them and they thought they was all Egyptians because they all looked the same. But that's in Genesis 50. Matter of fact, they called the place where they was mourning Abel Mizrahim, which means mourning of the Egyptians. But now that was in Genesis 50. So finally Joseph died and all the brothers died and it's just their children left. And that's when the Egyptians started to oppress the Israelites. But it's black on black crime. It's black on black because they all black. And that's when God sent Moses in Egypt, which he called the land of Ham, right? Moses and Aaron, right? But we're going to get to that. We skipping a lot because we could be here all day and 2 days dealing with all of these verses. Exodus 2 and verse 15, because you should know the story how the Egyptians was oppressing Israel so bad, they started killing all the Israelite boys. They started killing them all because they said, look, these cats outpopulating us. So they was worried about Israel taking over, so they started killing the boys, which is something today that can happen to this day because they always worried about the male. So they started killing the Israelite boys. So when Moses was born, it was a miracle how he survived. How did he survive? Look, the woman just ended up, before they killed him, she shipped him out in a basket on the river, and Pharaoh's own daughter saw him. And she knew he was a Hebrew child, but she had mercy. You know, the Lord know how to work things. He sent the baby to the woman, and the woman ain't no way she going to kill the baby or turn the baby over to her father. Because her father said, kill all the Hebrew boys. He was treacherous. He didn't care. He said, kill them all. Every Hebrew boy. First he told the midwife to kill them as soon as they was born. The midwife said, you got to be crazy. They didn't tell him that. Whatever they think that they said, you got to be crazy. We can't kill these boys. So then he come back. Why you didn't kill them boys? All this in Exodus 1. You read on young. And they said, look, you know, we just couldn't, you know, the women had them babies quick. You know, they popping them out. So we couldn't do it. We couldn't kill them before they was born. So Pharaoh said, skip it. He said, look, every boy that Israel have, throw him in the river. Cast him in the river and drown him. That's how treacherous he was. Then come Moses. The Lord sent Moses, and he wasn't going to let nothing happen to Moses. So that's why he ended up in Pharaoh's daughter. Now check this out. Moses escaped death by growing up as Pharaoh's grandson. Ain't no way Pharaoh knew about it, right? You know he wouldn't have let no Hebrew in his house when he trying to kill them all, right? Pharaoh did not know about it. That show you again that Moses had to look just like the other Egyptians, right? Because Pharaoh couldn't have known he was a Hebrew. Even if he going to let one live, he ain't going to bring one in his house when he hate them all, right? So he didn't know that Moses was a Hebrew until later on. Once Moses got grown and started trying to work, then he found out. That's when he realized. And this happened. So I skipped over all that. You can read that on your own. But that shows you Moses grew up as an Egyptian. He had to look just like these Egyptians. And we're going to get some verification of that when he was grown. Exodus 2 and 15. This is when he left. When he killed an Egyptian, Pharaoh got wind of it and he knew what was going on. Now he want to kill Moses now, but it's too late. Verse 15. He should have did it when he was a baby, but he didn't know. Verse 15. Go ahead.
Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses. But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian. And he sat down by a well.
See, now Pharaoh, here's a Pharaoh right here, King Tutankhamun, King Tut. All of them was black. So that show you again, Moses had to look like him if he passed as an Egyptian all along. So when he found out about Moses, he tried to kill Moses, but Moses fled to Midian. Now, go ahead, verse 16.
Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water, and filled their troughs to water their father's flock. And the shepherd came and drove them away. But Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock.
So Moses helped these women because the shepherds used to always misuse them every day. It's an ongoing thing, but Moses happened to see it, and he protected the women and watered the flock for them and everything. Go ahead.
And when they came to Reuel their father, he said, how is it that ye are come so soon today?
See, he knew they had a hard time down there, and they got back quick that day because Moses helped them. But what did they call Moses? Verse 19.
And they said, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hands of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us and watered the flock.
See, now they called Moses an Egyptian. Moses was not an Egyptian. He was an Israelite of the tribe of Levi. That's what you read about when Moses was born. That's who he was. He was an Israelite. And he had to escape death by growing up in Pharaoh's house, so they assumed he was an Egyptian. That show you he had to look just like the Egyptians. See, we showing now the title of the lesson, Israel, black and cursed, where we showing, first of all, the color of Israel. It's just a fact that they was black. Ain't nothing even get bent out of shape.